Greetings and welcome to your health life. This is your favorite acupuncture physician, food therapist, herbalist, and more, Dr. Williams-Singh. Today's topic is about your skin and the role it plays in protecting you, and also the role it plays in not protecting you from illnesses and sickness. If you're new to this channel, please take the time now to subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, we appreciate your subscription and we value your participation in growth of this channel. Your skin is the largest organ of your body. It is your first layer and first line of defense with the external world. Your skin has a variety of components that insulates you and also shields you from harm. While that is the case, this protection is sometimes compromised because of the following: your nose, your mouth, your eyes, your ears, your genital area, and your rectum. Those are all exposed to external world, and it also is introduced to your internal world. We're speaking about your body's environment. At those areas, there is a mucous membrane. The mucous membrane has a surface, a sheet over it called your epithelial cells. Another sort of protection that you have is the bacteria that's populated all over your skin, from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. In your palms of your hands, you have good bacteria, and likewise you have good bacteria internally that sits or stays or lives or thrives in your intestines and also in your stomach and other areas. Let's understand this. The good bacteria sometimes becomes compromised. But before I get into how it becomes compromised, we need to highlight the following. There is an E. coli that is not harmful. It is a harmless type of bacteria. This bacteria, it lives in the intestines, and it also improves and it encourages health for your intestines. That's your internal world. There's another type of E. coli. This E. coli is the E. coli that produces toxins. That is an unwanted danger to your system. In every perspective that you look at it, you have two types. One, good bacteria. Second, bad bacteria. We often hear more about the bad bacteria, but your body is protected. Your skin is protected by the good bacteria, and also internally. When you come in contact with hand sanitizers, you have already your own good bacteria on your hand. Depending on how seldom you use hand sanitizer, you can also compromise the integrity of your good bacteria if you're overusing it because it's antibiotic or antibacterial. That means will kill the bad bacteria, but you're also killing the good bacteria, or let's not use that word killing. You're diminishing the good bacteria, all dependent on how often you might use the hand sanitizer, or the antibacterial product. In the case of when you are in contact with the bad bacteria, for instance, the E. coli, the one that produces the toxin, it is very often because of contamination. Contaminated foods is often the case. The pathogenic type of E. coli bacteria, it can also be occasionally carried by wildlife, livestock, and even humans, and of course, pets. You can also come in contact with the pathogenic E. coli by consuming contaminated meats and food crops. Also, you might get in contact with it because of certain waters that is contaminated. Contamination is typically spread when feces come into contact with food or water. That is a quote from the National Institute of Health.gov. It's an article. Here's a following article from the National Institution.gov. This article reads the following. Different types of E. coli tend to contaminate different types of foods and water. Previous U.S. outbreaks of pathogenic E. coli have included some leafy greens, sprouts, raw milk, cheeses, raw beef, and poultry. This type of E. coli is toxin producing, and it could be particularly dangerous due to maybe undercooked meats and a variety of items such as produce, raw milk, and cheeses, and contaminated vegetables and sprouts. According to the National Institution of Health, preventing foodborne illnesses at home, consumers should always practice safe food handling and preparation measures, which includes the following: washing hands with warm water and soap for at least 20 seconds before and after handling raw foods. Wash the inside walls and shelves of the refrigerator, including cutting board, countertops, and utensils that may have contacted contaminated foods. Then you could sanitize with the following: a 1 gallon, that is a 1 gallon hot water mixed with 1 tablespoon of chlorine bleach, and dry with a clean cloth or paper towel that has not been previously used. That is also, if you see that you have any area in your refrigerator that you have any spills, wipe it up immediately. The reason for that is this: bacteria, we're speaking about the bad bacteria, the toxic bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria. They thrive in water. Chiefly and most profoundly, that's what they do. Next up, let's go over the characteristics of a bacteria. The characteristics of a bacteria is the follows. Bacteria, they are microscopic. That means that you cannot see it. It is a single cell organism, and it thrives in diverse environments. That means in heat, and also in cool or colder weathers. It also can survive because of the fact that it also produces itself. The structure of a bacteria is the follows. It's a prokaryote. And this single-celled organism, it has its own internal structure, and it does not have a nucleus. It does have DNA, and it does have nucleotides, or it's separated from the circular pieces called plasmids. Bacteria also have ribosomes. The ribosomes is what they use to produce protein. Very simply, bacteria, they live on its own, and it can reproduce on its own, by itself. It does not need another living organism to live, because it is in fact a cell. It is a single cell organism. In this instance, we are understanding that bacteria can survive. It could multiply more and more and more if it's not taken care of immediately. The following definition is an article from www.genome.gov. This is pertaining to the definition of a virus. It says the following. Viruses is a small collection of genetic code. It's either DNA or RNA. Is surrounded by a protein code, cannot replicate alone. Viruses must infect cells and use components of host cells to make copies of themselves. Often they kill the host cell in the process and cause damage to the host organism. It cannot be killed by antibiotics. Viruses are microscopic parasites, generally much smaller than a bacteria, and they lack the capacity to thrive and reproduce outside of the host body. Let's analyze this in a simple way of saying what I just said. Viruses, they are microorganisms. You cannot see it with your naked eye. They are very, very small. Some sources, they'll say that viruses, it's much tinier than a bacteria. You have two types of viruses. One is a DNA or an RNA type of virus. It is not a cell, nor does it reproduce by itself. It's like almost like saying it's dead weight. It's just there. It does not live. There's no living to it because it is not a cell. And it also needs a host. And that host would be any living thing that has a cell in order for it to survive and multiply. Viruses chiefly take over, in this instance, a human being's own cell. What that means is it needs to get into your cell, and there are a variety of viruses with different shapes, different colors, and different outer appearance. the viruses also has a way of managing the following. Viruses is surrounded by protein. All viruses are surrounded by protein, but it cannot multiply by itself. It needs to get into your body in order for it to take over your machinery, your body cells, for it to multiply and for it to thrive. This is your favorite acupuncture physician. Come back and join us again here at Your Health Light.